Hi everybody, MamaNature here. Today we are going to make a lemon meringue pie with an oatmeal cookie crust. This is something I've never done before, but I made this oatmeal cookie crust for a pie that was in Christina Tosi's cookbook from her Milk restaurant in New York City. And the pie crust was so much better than the pie that I thought I'm going to use that pie crust to do my lemon meringue pie. I've got a lemon tree in the backyard. I've got fresh lemons right at my disposal. So this is going to be fun. You ready? Yay! MamaNature here. Okay, so for our oatmeal cookie pie crust, what you're going to need is, well, what I'm going to need is my glasses. Okay, what you're going to need is a stick of butter at room temperature, real natural butter. Okay, you don't want to use margarine for this because it will not give you the same flavor or texture. Plus, it's plastic. You don't want to eat that anyway. Boo. Okay, we're going to use 1/3 cup of tightly packed light brown sugar, 3 tablespoons of granulated sugar, just regular table sugar, 1 egg yolk, and I've got 1/2 cup of flour, unbleached all-purpose flour, and then 1.5 cups of oats. Now you can use whole rolled oats or quick oats, whatever your preference is, whatever you've got on hand. These are quick oats. And that's what I used last time and it came out so good. You're gonna really love this. Okay, and then I've combined my baking soda and baking powder in one little dish here. It's 1/8 teaspoon of baking powder and just a pinch of baking soda. Just a tiny little bit of leavening. Okay, and then I've got 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt, so coarse kosher salt. And then I'm gonna put this all together in my KitchenAid using the paddle attachment. All right, real simple. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is add our butter to the bowl. Real simple. There we go, 1 whole stick, room temperature. Okay, and then we're gonna combine our sugars. So the brown sugar and our white sugar. All right, now all the sugars and butters are in the bowl. We're gonna start mixing that up first on a light, low speed just to combine it. Now it's coming together, so I'm going to turn it up for just 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, those 2 minutes are up. So I'm going to turn off the motor, drop my bowl down, and then I'm just going to scrape down the sides of the bowl to make sure that there isn't anything sticking to the bottom that didn't get incorporated. The reason that we beat the butter and the sugars together for that 2-3 minutes is because it has everything to do with the texture. So if you were to combine the sugars and the butter until they were really just combined, you wouldn't get the same fluffiness, you wouldn't get the same gooey chewiness out of this crust. So it's very important, don't skip those couple of minutes of mixing. And you've heard me say this before, the most important ingredient when you're baking is patience. So make sure that you've got all the time, that you're totally relaxed and able to do this. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and get our egg yolk. And we're gonna make sure that we have absolutely no egg white in our mix whatsoever. And the best way to do this is by hand. If we have any little bit of egg white in our mixture, it'll get fluffy. We'll lose that dense texture that we're looking for, and that will just ruin the whole thing. All right, so this is why we want to do it by hand. You're gonna just pour it into your fingers and toss it gently between your hands, going from wet fingers up to your dry palm. And what'll happen is you will see that you're getting rid of all of that egg white. Now it's just this yolk. And now the yolk is ready to go in the bowl. Okay, the yolk is in the bowl, so we're gonna go ahead and raise that up and get it started on a little mix. So I blended that yolk in there for about 2 minutes, and now I'm gonna go ahead and make sure it's incorporated once again with my scraper. Get all the way down underneath everything and make sure that we're mixing completely. So here's what we're looking for. We want a nice pale color, and we'd like to see that everything is blended beautifully together. So we've got a very creamy texture, and that's just perfect. That means we're right on target. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and add our flour. I'm going to put this on a nice low speed. Add the oats. And this is why it's on a low speed. We don't want anything to go flying around the kitchen, you know. Baking soda and baking powder in the bowl. And our salt. Now really, this is just going to mix for about a minute. We just want to combine all the ingredients. All right. And turn that off, lower the bowl, and make sure that I don't have anything that's still unincorporated. And usually the things that are still unincorporated are stuck to your hook. So go ahead and scrape that down. Get down underneath everything. Yeah, we're in pretty good shape, not too shabby. Just gonna give that a quick spin around the dance floor. All right, that's it. Paddle gets removed. Now, this is going to go on a baking sheet. Clearly, this is a very worn baking sheet. Mama likes to cook. And all I'm going to do is just pour this on here. If you don't have a silicone baking mat, then I would suggest you use some butter or oil on your pan so that nothing sticks. And really, this is all I want to do. I want to make sure that I've got this pressed down to about 1/2 inch thickness. So think of it as one big cookie. That's what we're going for. And at some point, you're going to want to get your hands in there. So that's what I'm just going to do. I want to make sure there aren't any pieces that are detached. So I'm just going to press it all together like a big pancake. Okay, no holes in the middle, one big pancake. And this seems like a really strange way to do it, I know, but trust me, the results are incredible. So what we're going to do is put this in the oven at 350 degrees. Once it's done baking, we'll know because the outside edges will be golden. This will come out of the oven, it will come to room temperature, and when we break it apart, it'll be this gooey, chewy consistency. So our big oatmeal cookie now is gonna bake at 350 for about 15 minutes, or until, like I said, the edges are nice and golden, and it'll have a slightly puffed appearance to it. Not too much though, because we got that egg white all out, right? So our giant oatmeal cookie just came out of the oven. You can see how it's lightly golden around the edges, and it's nice and smooth across the surface. Some cracking is perfect. That's just what we wanted. And oh my gosh, I wish you were here to smell it. It's incredible. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that cool to room temperature, and then I'm gonna bust it up and put it in my food processor. I'm probably gonna do that part tomorrow, so I'll see you then. As this starts to cool, what I'm doing is I'm just kind of breaking it apart, and I thought you might like to see how it's sort of a chewy consistency. So just take a look at how that works. It's nice and soft, but it's golden on the bottom and around the edges. And so all I'm going to do is break it into smaller pieces so that it will cool faster. That's about it. And of course, you know, you got to steal a piece to eat. Oh my God. Hi everybody, welcome back. We're getting ready to do the pie crust now. So what I did was yesterday, after the crust cooled down, I crumbled it up and I just put it in a big Ziploc bag. What I'm going to do now is I'll be adding that to my food processor. It's not a real big one, so I'll have to do this in a couple of steps. But what I'm doing is I'm adding the crumbled bits of cookie, crumbled bits of cookie to my food processor, along with 1/4 teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt and 1 tablespoon of tightly packed brown sugar. Here we go, pulse. Pretty good. Now in the recipe that I got this from, they want you to go ahead and throw all this into a bowl so that you can then add your melted butter. But why dirty an extra thing? Put it right directly into my pie plate. And I'm gonna just make sure there's no big pieces. Oh, and there are. So we get the big pieces, put them back in. There we go. And then we'll add some more. Oh, it's such a beautiful spring day. I'm in such a great mood, I think, that there's no better way to be in the springtime than just happy and full of life, just like my garden is. Happy and full of life. All right, let's pulse this one. There we go. That sounds pretty good. And so now you probably see and understand why it really doesn't matter what kind of oats you use, quick oats or whole oats, because they're all getting ground up anyway. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and dump that in there. All right. Any of you who know me, you know that I am also a minister, but I just love to cook. I love to garden. I love to make jewelry. I have lots of varied interests, but the one thing that's been a constant in my life, I mean always from the time that I was little, is my desire to understand the universe. My spiritual drive to figure out what the heck we're all doing here. And so a lot of my videos have to do with meditating and things like that. But I just wanted to say, when you're doing something like this, when you're pouring your whole heart into something and you're enjoying every second of it, you're actually doing a form of meditation. You are here right now, fully. I'm not thinking about my laundry. I'm not thinking about what I'm going to make for dinner later, although I probably should in a little while start thinking about that. But I'm just right here, and I'm just full of joy. And when you do that, you're actually adding, when you're adding that kind of love and enthusiasm into whatever it is that you're cooking, it's like you're infusing it with universal energy, with universal love, and you're making it more nutritious to the body. So even though we're making a pie, we're making it a high resonance pie, so it will be good for you. All right, here we go. That looks pretty good, guys. All right. Oh, you know what too? This recipe makes pie crust, enough pie crust for 2 pies. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scoop out maybe 1/4 of this, because this is a rather large pie pan. So half wouldn't have been enough. So I did the double recipe just so that I would get the good full crust that I like, because, you know, lemon can be tart. We want this sweet, salty sweet to go with the tart. That's my reasoning. Alright, there we are. Dun, 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 dun. So now all of this is finely ground. Before I take out the 1/4 that I'm not going to be using, we've got to add our butter. So this is a 1/2 stick melted butter. I'm just going to go ahead and add that in there. Make it up real good until it forms a ball. And guys, I'm telling you, this smells so good. It's going to be the best lemon meringue pie ever. Oh yeah, okay, so this looks good. It's starting to press down, which is very much what I wanted to do. So I'm going to take, like I said, about 1/4 of this, maybe even 1/3. I'll probably take 1/3 of this out. And this will be reserved for making mini cheesecakes. I like to use glass jars for storage containers in my kitchen whenever possible because, well, who needs more plastic in the world? We don't need more plastic in the world. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and spread this out evenly. And I want to be sure that it's about 1/4 of an inch deep, okay? 1/4 of an inch deep on the bottom. And then I'll start pressing the sides. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but you do have to get full coverage, or else when you scoop out a slice, it won't come, it'll just be a mess. So that's why I'm doing extra crusty. Here we go, look how beautiful. All right, we're ready to start making our lemon meringue now. You ready? So this recipe calls for 3/4 of a cup of lemon juice, and here's the lemon tray. I'm going to go ahead and just have a little conversation with my tree and see who wants to be part of a lemon meringue pie. What do you say, guys? Who wants to be pie today? You? All right. When one starts to make itself known to you, then you know this is the one. Yep, and it just came right off. Beautiful. And we'll get one more. So we need about 2 teaspoons of finely shredded lemon peel. So I'm going to go ahead and use the finer part of my shredder over just a tiny little, ramekin. And you see, I'm not going too deep. I just want to get the outside. And of course, because this is my lemon and I grew it on my tree in my yard, it's not been sprayed with any chemicals. It is organic. And so all I had to do is just wipe it off with a Norwex cloth, just to get off any dirt, dust, you know, flotsam. All right, so this looks to be about 2 teaspoons. I'm calling it. All right, there's 2 teaspoons. Okay, put that aside. And now I'm gonna go ahead and cut this in half. Look at that, that is so beautiful. And we want 3/4 of a cup of lemon juice. So I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze that right into there and we'll see what we got. This might be too big. Yeah, that's too big. So I'm gonna quarter them. Okay, quarters like we say in Jersey. All right, squish it right down in there. Yum. And these are really great for freshening your garbage disposal. So that's gonna go right down the drain. And a good way to make sure that you get all the juice from your lemons. Ooh, we got a seed. Come here, you. This is where having long fingernails comes in handy. Good way to make sure you get all the juice from your lemon is to go ahead and roll it around a little bit before you slice it. It kind of releases or bursts all those little sacs inside. Taking pleasure in every little bit of this process, making sure that all of my heart goes into every bit of this pie. Okay, so that wound up being 3.5 lemons. So I have another half a lemon here, which maybe I'll use for garnish later. Who knows? But that's what it took. Now we're going to need 5 eggs for this recipe. I've got organic eggs here, and we're going to separate the yolks from the whites. And I love that the organic eggs have this beautiful rich color, and of course the yolks sit up so nice and proud. They're just beautiful. I don't think I want that umbilical cord, but there you go. I mean, that is a happy egg yolk. Hatched by a happy chicken. All right, one more. We're good to go. All right, it's time to make our filling. So I've combined 2 cups of sugar with 1/3 of a cup of cornstarch in my saucepan. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and whisk them together carefully because we don't want to make a big cloud, a dust cloud, you know, of cornstarch, because that'll just be everywhere. What we're going to do now is just turn this on a nice low flame. There we go. Actually, I have it on a medium flame. That's how we're going to start. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my lemon peel. Now we've got that incorporated. I'm going to go ahead and add a cup of water. Just gently making sure everything's combined. Everything's nice and wet. All right, then I'm going to add my lemon juice. And we're going to cook and stir this over a medium flame just until it's nice and thick and bubbly. That's where the cornstarch comes in. That's going to give you the thickness. If you've ever made a gravy, or if you've ever made your own homemade Chinese food, you know that cornstarch is going to be your thickener. While this is on the flame, what I've done is I've gotten my 1/3 of a cup of butter, cold butter, and I put it in the ramekin that had the lemon peel in it. So now I'm just going to cut this into little pieces. There you go. Look at, you see how it's starting to bubble all around the surface? It's all coming from underneath. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the flame. That is officially thick and bubbly. Okay. Oh yeah, nice. It's like candy. All right, very, very hot. You do not want to get this on yourself. It will scald you. All right, so I'm going to take my whisk and just bust up these egg yolks. Mix them up a little bit. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is just ladle out a little bit of my lemon and sugar mixture and put that right there into the egg. Okay. I wouldn't try to pour that directly from the pot. That is a recipe for disaster, and we don't do recipes of disaster in Mama's Kitchen. We only do good, wholesome recipes, right? All right, so that's mixing in, combining very nicely. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and return that to the saucepan. Okay, get out as much as I can from here, just like that. Oh boy, what fun. anything worth doing is worth doing well. So if you can follow instructions really well, and you enjoy following instructions really well, you're going to be a dynamite baker. There we go. Look at that, all combined. Very nice. Now I'm going to bring this back up to a gentle boil. I'm putting it back on medium flame. And it looks like I got a little bit of white in there. Those are like the little umbilical cords from the egg yolk, so I don't want them in my pie. Now this comes back up to a boil very quickly, as you can see. All right, here we go. We're starting to get that rolling, boiling texture again, just like we got before. So I'm going to go ahead and turn down the flame all the way down to low and cook and stir that for 2 minutes. This just helps everything to get incorporated, everything to be married together well. And all of this stirring and scraping really points out or illustrates the need for using stainless steel utensils and stainless steel cookware. You don't want to get any Teflon in your pie. No toxic chemicals, no garbage, no poison in your cooking, ever, ever, ever. Look at that. What fun! It's still got little bubbles going, and this is all the way on low. All right, I'm going to say that's about 2 minutes. I'm turning it off. And now we're going to add the butter pieces. Flame is off. And when the butter gets incorporated, it should melt very quickly, because this stuff is hot as lava, man. Hot, hot, hot. See, now to me, this is the whole reason that I decided to come to Earth, to have another lifetime, because when you are part of the universal consciousness, yes, it's beautiful, yes, it's blissful, and everything is at your fingertips. Every answer to every question is right there at your fingertips. But the reason we incarnate, the whole reason we come here, is so that we can taste food, so that we can feel things, so that we can use our 5 senses. Because the only sense that we have when we croak is the 6th sense. Yes, we get to see everything, or rather we get to know everything, but we don't get to experience stuff like this, and this is fun. Okay, next. And then we'll put on the lid to keep it warm while we're making the meringue. So we've got the egg whites, the 5 egg whites set aside, and they've been sitting for a while. They're nearly room temperature, which is what the recipe wants them to be, so we'll see how this works. That goes in the bowl. And then we're going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of cream of tartar. 1/2 teaspoon. Ish. There we go. We want 1 teaspoon of real vanilla. There we go. And we're going to whip away for about a minute. Getting nice and foamy now. We should be there soon. All right, we want to mix that until soft peaks form. So let's see. Do we consider that to be soft peaks? I think so. Now we're going to start adding in our sugar, just about a tablespoon at a time. And what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've poured my sugar. This is a combination of raw and white sugar. You don't have to do that. And so that I can just fold the plate and allow little bits at a time to go in there. And we're gonna do this on a high speed. This whole process should take about 5 minutes. Don't rush it. Looks like we're just about there. So I'm gonna go ahead and check by putting my finger in there. Oh yeah, look at that. That's beautiful. And now what you wanna do is rub it between your 2 fingers and make sure that it's nice and smooth. You don't feel any grainy bits of sugar in there, and I do not, so I'm calling it. I think we've got it. Yahoo! So I've got my oven preheating now to 325, and I'm gonna go ahead and pour the hot lemon filling into my pie crust. Ooh, and it is still very hot too. Here we go. Isn't that pretty? Oh my goodness, that's pretty. Yum! Oh, happy dance! Yay! And now we're going to go ahead and put the meringue. Now the way this works is we want to make sure that we've got the entire filling covered. So this is going to go edge to edge. And I really don't even care about being too pretty about it. I just want it to cover. Look at that, just gorgeous. Gorgeous. I just make up my own words. Gorgeous. That's a word. That's a Bonnieism. Look at how beautiful and majestic that is. I want to take you down to eye level because it's crazy how high that is. That is a high meringue, baby. Okay. Now let's go ahead and just get that spread. I want to push it all around the edges. I'm gonna turn my pie plate. Ooh, look at that. So I went back in with the back of my spatula and I just made little peaks so that it'll have a bit of a texture to it. And my oven just came to temperature. So I'm gonna put it in there. She's gonna bake for 30 minutes. We'll see you then. All right, it's time for the taste test. Oh my gosh. So I had it in the refrigerator. You want to make sure it's tightly wrapped after you cut into it. Now let's see. Beautiful high meringue. It's gorgeous. That crust is crispy. It's just perfect. Mmm. 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 This is why we came here. This is why we incarnate. Because we want to taste things like this and we want to savor. That texture, that's like a marshmallow. It's just incredible. Oh, if you like this video, please click like, share it in your social media, subscribe to my channel, and until next time, Mama loves you. Bye now. Oh, yum. Mm.